Well, next stage this, I'm told I need the fuel rail from this because the turbo doesn't have a return apparently. I will obviously see that in a minute. So while I'm here, I'm just taking this apart. You need to take, well, to make life easier, just unbolt the inlet manifold top from there, the intake plenum, and then you slide off these 4 injector clips that clip on there to hold the injectors in, and then there's a couple of 8mm bolts there, and then this will all come out. So we're going to get on with that now. Spring clips are the work of the devil. There we go, one fuel rail off eventually. So now I also need to get the return pipe that goes down under the inlet manifold to here. And I think that's just bolted on with a couple of 8mm underneath, so we'll do that now as well. And there's the return. Right, so let's now turn our attention to the turbo engine and make a start on that one. So the turbo engine has got a dual mass flywheel. Great for not a lot other than smoothing out some of the roughness, I suppose, but we want to get rid of that and put the original solid flywheel on with a clutch kit. So this has got to come off and go in the scrap, as well as the old clutch. It's seen better days, it's nice and smooth, so needed doing anyway. We need to get the loom off. Well, we need to get some of the loom done, fit the new turbo loom. We need to get to the fuel rail and put the VVC fuel rail on, so that's another job. Yeah, just generally get it ready to put the PG1 box back on it. We've got it strapped to this pallet, so at the minute that will help for doing this. But as you can see, the bolts for the solid flywheel are a lot smaller. Flywheel, 80 Newton meters. .56, 58, 60, 70, 80. Right, clutch plate next. Right, as I say, this clutch went in about 3,000 miles ago, if that. Look, still looks brand spanking new, so we're going to go with it again. I've got a brand new one. Some might say it's stupid, but I know where this one come from. I know it's done no miles, so we're going to go with it again. We'll either take that one back and claw a bit of money back, or we'll just keep it in stock for future. So, get a trusty 15mm socket, put a little bit of tape around it. You can obviously get proper tools. I've got one, but it's rubbish, so I find this does the job. Doesn't appear to be a torque wrench setting for these, so we'll just nip them up then. Right, so that's clutch and flywheel done. Now we've got to put the box on. Well, do the fuel rail first actually while it's here, then put the box on. Obviously it's all got to come apart again for a clean up, all the gaskets and belts and stuff being done. It's just so we can literally get it in the frame, get it tested, make sure we don't have to do anything else before all that happens. So, right, onto the fuel rail. Okay, so a bit of a change of plan. Now I was going to fit the fuel rail from the VVC onto the turbo, but as it happens, I have a spare VVC manifolds, so I think I'm going to fit the whole thing. Googling it on the owners clubs before says there's not much of any difference really, other than these are aluminium and obviously that's plastic, and sometimes they get a bit hot and warp a bit, and the gaskets don't seal very well, so we might as well, as we've got one in stock, go for the aluminium one. So we'll start taking all this apart now. So although I'm going to use a VVC inlet manifold, I need the turbo injectors. So we'll get them out now. Right, so we've got the VVC inlet manifold, we've got the turbo injectors on the VVC rail, all back together. What we've got to do now, obviously, put a few gaskets on and put the plenum on. So that's the next job. So now I've got to take the map sensor out the VVC plenum and put in the turbo map sensor. So it's two 8mm. Okay, so then we can't do that then. So we must have to use the VVC one because the holes are different and it's a different size thing. Obviously we can drill that out, but then the holes still won't fit, so I'll have to do some googling on that. Different plug as well. Right, so the map sensor won't fit in the end because this is a MEMS 2 manifold apparently, and I need a MEMS 3. So we're going to scrap this idea completely, take the injectors back out of this, and put the injectors with the VVC fuel rail into the turbo manifold. So maybe if a MEMS 3 one comes up in the future I'll do it, but for now we're just going to go with the original. So I've got to strip this back down again, so that was a waste of an hour. Never mind, live and learn. Got the VVC manifold stripped back down, didn't take too long. So we'll consign that to history and a lesson. Apparently, obviously when I googled it, it was quite a few years ago where people started doing it, but it seems the new consensus is they're not actually that good anyway because they've got slightly different port sizes, so it doesn't quite work. So we'll just go back to the original one, the plastic one. It's obviously a bit lighter anyways, and obviously lighter means faster, doesn't it? I think that's what it is. Anyway, so I need to whip this back in and then go from there. So we lost an hour, but never mind, such is life. Okay. Right, now that's all back together, we can change this gasket. Right, gasket changed. Now we can whack it back on the car. Well, back on the engine anyway. There you go, easy as that. Right, so that's the Metro gearbox mount fitted. So now I suppose we better do the other side, the actual engine mount next.
Yeah, I've just seen that. That's the guy coming up. They're going to decorate the front of the house with it. Thinking on the wicked. with easy groove.
So that's the Metro or MGTF mount on for the Metro. So now let's go have a quick little look around the VVC and see if I need to swap anything else over. Need to fit the loom, need to sort all the alternator etc out, so that's the next kind of few jobs. Right, so took a little while to get that on, but we used existing stud, put a couple of nuts on there to hold that heat shield steady, and we put a, if you look down there, a Land Rover Gearbox stud, put that in the block, and again a couple of nuts, well 3, 1 to hold it against the block and then 2 to hold the heat shield in place, because obviously this engine used to have aircon and stuff like that, so it had various places for it to mount. So we've now got a heat shield on there. I don't know how effective it'll be because it doesn't quite cover the exhaust like it did before, but I suppose anything's better than nothing. Again, don't worry about how oily and dirty this engine is. It will get a full going over once the engine comes back out. We just need to get it all together, get it in the hole and just make sure it's all going to fit, and then it'll all come apart again and be cleaned up. So right, so that's that all done. I think we're pretty much there now. Just got to put the loom on, so that's the next thing. Right, so it's time to fit the loom. Start the easy bit, because I know that's the alternator and that clips on the side of the engine there, so I'm going to run around and get this connected up. Right, just to show you the legend that Mike is, when he built my loom, he gave me the 2 options, because some you can just plug that cable in, others you have the little wire there. So he's put both on the loom just to cover options, so we can take this one up out of the way and just carry on using this one. So big shout out to Mike for covering all the bases.